Bubba.
At 4 p.m. every day, Sarah Wood welcomes home her husband Ross and their 8-year-old twin daughters.
Apples and peanut butter, cheese and crackers.
Ross teaches at the girls' school in Denver. That, too, was once Sarah's career.
I come out of grad school at the age 27, an educator ready to take on the world of special education.
Sarah's dream was to teach children with autism, so she decided to take out a $118,000 student loan to get her master's in education from Columbia University.
I applied to a handful of education schools, and I got into the best. And there was pride in that, right?
She started teaching in Denver.
These are great memories. I remember all of these kids so well.
Lexi says, I love you.
I loved her too.
But when their twin daughters were born, the weight of the loans became crushing.
There you go, you got your snack. Between the loans, the amount of that, and the two of us being paid on a teacher's salary, that wasn't going to work.
Sarah quit teaching for a job in consulting so she could afford the $440 payments on her loans every month.
The interest is 7.65.
It's a pretty high interest rate.
But at a nearly 8% interest rate, her $118,000 balance ballooned to $180,000.
It was obviously not the smartest decision, right? Like, I could have made another decision. It's terrible. It's a huge number that we have to deal with. We have to think of and we have to budget for every day, and we have to budget for the future consequences of this loan every single day. It's the thing that I am probably the most ashamed of in my life.
Sarah is one of 28 million borrowers once again on the hook for paying off their loans, ending a pause that began in 2020 when the pandemic hit.
To help our students and their families, I've waived interest on all student loans held by federal government agencies, and that will be until further notice.
In an unprecedented effort to give borrowers financial relief, the Trump administration paused payments on federal student loans and froze interest rates at 0%.
Oh, that was so close!
For Sarah, it was a rare opportunity to save for her daughter's college education.
My husband and I sat down, and with us both on a payment pause, it's like, let's put whatever we can towards our daughter's 529s. Having both been through this situation that we want to so strongly avoid for them, we were able to save more towards their college education.
The pause endured for more than 3 years through 8 extensions, finally ending October 1st.
Are there areas in your budget that will change now that you will be making those payments again toward your loans?
Yeah, certainly. It's just a tightening of the belt across all areas. You need to live in a house, you need to pay groceries, you need to eat, and then from there on you kind of have to figure out where to skimp and save.
I think for most student loan borrowers, what it means is that they got to make some hard choices.
Economist Mark Zandi says restarting payments will create headwinds for the American economy.
It was very helpful in the time. Obviously, we got to move on now, and that is not comfortable. That's painful, and that's the process we're engaged in at the current time.
He says the average payment of $200 to $300 a month will force borrowers to tighten their budgets, already stretched by rising interest rates and inflation.
If you consider the higher inflation of the past couple of years, the typical American household is now spending $750 more a month to buy the same goods and services they were just because of the higher inflation.
So when you add an average student loan payment of between $200 and $300 onto that, that adds up.
They're now shelling out $1,000 more plus each month to kind of just do what they had been doing.
These numbers are pretty significant.
Having to resume payments will force borrowers like first-generation college graduate Michael Lopez in Anaheim, California, to make compromises.
That's a really big chunk, of our spending every month that would go towards that.
Mm-hmm. The 33-year-old's goal of becoming a social worker led him to pursue a master's degree after a degree in sociology at a state school. He now owes $240,000 in student debt.
It's an astronomical number. The only time I've seen a bigger number than that is when we bought our house.
His monthly bill, nearly $800.
We all deserve an opportunity for education, and however I had to make that happen, I was going to make it happen.
Did you ever consider a career where you could make more money, easily pay off those debts?
Actually, no. This is just too meaningful to me. It's kind of, I feel like it was what I was designed to do, was to help people. And so, yeah, I'm proud of it, and it's exactly where I want to be.
even if you have $200,000 plus in debt hanging over your head.
Yeah.
Michael says the payment pause opened up the opportunity for another major first in his family.
I ask myself a lot of times, whether or not it's a dream.
Being able to take advantage of record low mortgage rates in 2020 and buy a home.
I was like, I don't know if we'll ever own a home. And the fact that we were able to do that because of the pause was just like, mind-blowing.
And now he and his wife have their first baby on the way. But fulfilling that American dream came at a cost.
Some might say, well, now you've taken on even more debt and you still have to pay your student loans back. Was that really a smart financial decision?
I think so. We're quickly building a lot of equity in the home, and that's a long-term investment for us as well and for our kids.
Michael followed every twist and turn of the payment pause, hoping it would spur broader student debt reform in Washington.
I've become more plugged into politics than I ever have in my life.
Millions of Americans in this country who feel disappointed and discouraged or even a little bit angry.
When President Biden in 2022 proposed debt cancellation of up to $20,000 for millions of Americans, Michael was elated, only to see that plan struck down by the Supreme Court.
Critics of loan forgiveness, especially with student debt, say so many Americans had to pay their own debt. Why should this generation be any different?
Yes, there are folks who have worked for it and we're able to pay. Mind you, some of those folks paid a lot less than what we're paying these days. But that's a privilege to be able to do that, right?
I sympathize with those who did pay off their loans and feel that we should have to do the same. But my argument against that would be we want to be a culture of progress. I wouldn't say to a young woman who's going to have children like, oh, well, you shouldn't get 24 weeks of paid maternity leave because I didn't get that. We notice areas where we could improve, and as a culture, we aim to make progress.
Sarah says one step toward progress would be permanently lowering interest rates on student loan debt.
Do you regret going and getting that master's?
I do, unfortunately. And that internally makes me very sad because it's something to be proud of, but I regret it. It's not just enough. It's anxiety. Again, it's taking away from what I can do for my children in the future. It's what we can do month to month. It's a constant battle.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.